Richard Harrington of the Washington Post says, "Just when you think American film comedy has hit the bottom of the barrel, it makes a supreme effort and keeps sinking." Variety magazine says, "The script is merely a collection of gags tied together by the slightest suggestion of a story." And Ian Freer of Empire magazine says, "Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear." On this episode of Ruined Childhoods, we decide the fate of Police Academy 4 Citizens on Patrol.
Sequel. Reboot. Which one will it be?
The Ruined Childhoods Podcast.
Greetings, Starfighters. Welcome to Ruined Childhoods, the podcast where we revisit all of your favorite films and franchises and speculate as to what could be done with them, if anything, in terms of sequels, prequels, remakes, reboots, spin-offs, remasters, re-releases, relapses, I don't know what else. But if it exists, if it happens, we're talking about it. Musical theater adaptations, TV series, whatever it is, whatever best suits the property, we decide. And who are we, you may ask? Well, I will start by introducing myself, Dan Wiener, one half of your fraternal co-hosting team. And just wanted to tell you a little bit about our theme this month for May. For those of you who are new to the podcast, we started with we did a theme last month. We did April Fools last month, and we had fun. So this month we thought about it, and then it occurred to us that May tends to be the time of year when people celebrate Star Wars, particularly the 4th of May, or May the 4th be with you. So in honor of that phenomenal franchise, some might say the greatest franchise in cinematic history, some may disagree, but regardless, the impact of Star Wars is undeniable, and that is why this month we are observing May the 4th be with you, but not by discussing the Star Wars franchise.
Yeah, the 4th films and movie franchises. I hope that you're all as tickled by the theme as we are.
We are going to dig deep on what it is that makes what you need to do to make a great part 4.
Yeah, and we're going to get into Police Academy 4 Citizens on Patrol in a few minutes, but we have a few things we need to get out of the way first.
We've got breaking news.
Well, before we get to the breaking news, we totally screwed up, and I'm so sorry, everybody.
Oh, we did.
We neglected to let you all know that What About Bob actually did have a life after the movie itself. It was given the sitcom treatment a few years back with Leah Remini in What About Barb. She played the Leo Marvin character. I think it was Dr. Suzanne Marvin. So
Suzanne Marvin.
I was unable to find out any information other than just like the basics, but I don't know if this ever aired, what happened, but
I have no recollection. Of this.
It does sound vaguely familiar to me, so I don't know.
It sounds to me like I'm thinking of the dialogue in Pulp Fiction when Samuel L. Jackson is saying, about pilots, and she's like, there are pilots and some become TV shows and some don't, and she was on one of the ones that didn't.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
We're not talking about that.
But now on to like news and announcements and just kind of things that have come to my attention about the world of reboots, remakes, prequels, and sequels. But first, I feel like it's important to talk about one of the bigger things that's in the news, which is actually an adaptation the trailer for the Sonic the Hedgehog movie came out. Did you see this one, Dan?
I have not seen the trailer, but I have seen the uproar on Twitter.
Yeah, so people are, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and say, I think it looks like a fun movie. I watched the trailer and I was like, hey, that looks great. Jim Carrey's kind of doing kind of an Ace Ventura-y character again. That's fun. But the uproar was about the design of Sonic. And because of the uproar, the filmmakers are actually going back and changing the way that Sonic looks.
I saw that. I saw that there was I saw the response to the uproar. Yeah.
Dan, people's childhoods were about to be ruined.
You're about to ruin my 16-bit childhood.
Yeah. So anyway, that you've probably all heard about this. It's been the headlines for days now. So just wanted to address that.
Oh, and also I want to add in reference to headlines, mourning the passing of two people who've made tremendous contributions to the world of cinema. John Singleton,
right?
First African American director nominated, first African American man to be nominated for Best Director, and he was 21 when he made Boys in the Hood.
Boys in the Hood is so good.
It is an amazing film.
Yeah,
it really is. It's powerful, and he also did the, I guess, reboot of Shaft, not a remake, because actually the original John Shaft is a character in the movie, and now there's a new sequel or reboot.
Yeah,
that features Sam Jackson and Richard Roundtree.
I'm pretty sure that they're kind of sequel reboots because they're kind of reinvigorating the series, but it's a continuation because the original Shafts are in the same lineage. They are part of it.
Right. And the original Shaft was a franchise. There were a few.
Right.
I remember there was one like Shaft in Africa.
Shaft in Africa. Mm-hmm.
But so it's interesting. I actually like their approach because I feel like when John Singleton's Shaft came out, there was talk of sequels, or there were plans to build the series around Samuel L. Jackson, who was amazing as I'd always thought Ving Rhames as Shaft, but Sam Jackson, man, killed it.
Well, he's just so dynamic, and
that movie,
yeah.
So Netflix got, and we'll probably talk about it at some point, but it's got Jeffrey Wright, it's got Christian Bale, it's got Toni Collette. It's really worth checking out. We'll have to
get to that one at some point. We'll add it to the list.
I'd love to. So and Peter Mayhew of Star Wars Chewbacca. Very sad loss. I believe he's played Chewbacca in the new films as well as in the originals.
He was not in Solo. That was the new one. And then in The Last Jedi, I want to say maybe it was the new person, or maybe it was split. I can't remember. The new Baka.
Newy. But it's, Chewbacca and this characters from the original trilogy are just such a huge part of my childhood. So it's, I shed a tear for the Wookiee.
Nobody is happy about this news.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Getting back to
perhaps the Sith.
Yes, the Sith is.
So you have some other news, heavy. Don't you?
Well, there's just a bunch of stuff I want to talk about. So I don't know if you've seen the new trailer for the Godzilla movie.
I haven't. I have to say I've been a little out of the loop this week.
Yeah.
Just, due to life.
Yeah, life stuff is happening. Well, let me tell you, I saw this one before Avengers Endgame, and I mean, it looks crazy. It looks exactly the way a Godzilla movie should look. Lots going on, lots of crazy monsters. I mean, Mothra, and I forget the name of the big one. It's kind of the three-headed dragon monster.
Ghidra or Ghidorah? Ghidra, I think it's something like that. Ghi. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I don't know.
Could be.
Yeah.
But anyway, that one just looks crazy. It looks like a Godzilla movie should look, as far as I'm concerned. And then we have a new trailer for Men in Black International, which features the voice of Kumail Nanjiani, who seems perfect for this. Kumail is kind of like the third main character, along with Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson, who both seem fantastic, but he's just kind of like a little animated alien guy that kind of goes along with them.
Right.
But looks like a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. On July 31st of this year, the television series Four Weddings and a Funeral is going to premiere on Hulu, starring Mindy Kaling.
Oh.
So that's exciting. That's something that just kind of ended up on my radar.
I'm curious. I is she going to be like kind of the Hugh Grant role?
I would imagine so.
I can really see that. I mean, of course, we're fans of Mindy Kaling here. If you're
she comes up a lot when we're talking about casting people today for movies that will be rebooted from the 80s and 90s. She's just got a great perspective, and she's delightful.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of like that kind of getting into movies and really starring. It just feels like she's so like there, and I really am excited to see her break out and just get even more recognition for her work, both as a writer, as an actress. And
also, I feel like Four Weddings and a Funeral is a really good one to revive as a series. I think it'll be a lot of fun. It's certainly one that
25 years ago. Four Weddings and a Funeral. It's
not a movie that is getting rebooted and somebody's like, how could they possibly do? It's just like, yeah, okay, sure, I'm okay with that.
They're ruining my childhood. Yeah. I spent every Sunday I watched Four Weddings and a Funeral. I mean, I'm sure there's someone out there who did, but it's fine. It was a Best Picture nominee.
Yeah, that's true.
1994.
I read today that the Cobra Kai series on YouTube Premium is actually going to be available for free for a limited amount of time. So if you're listening to this when it comes out, keep an eye on YouTube for the Cobra Kai series, because I haven't seen it yet because I don't have the YouTube Premium subscription. So I've been looking forward to that. And I know that season 2 is coming out soon.
Yeah, so I caught I want to say I watched like the first 3 or 4 episodes when it was just free on YouTube, because I also don't have YouTube Premium. And I didn't get a chance to watch the entire first season, but man, what a great way to kind of it's hard to call it a reboot, but just a way to adapt the characters and the story from the Karate Kid into a more serial presentation, and actually kind of positioning Johnny as the sympathetic character, at least in the episodes I saw.
Yeah, well, I mean, you and I are both big William Zabka fans, so it's a clear winner as far as I'm concerned, and I haven't even seen any of it yet.
No,
just love to see the Zabka.
I do highly recommend it. It's I look forward to picking up where I left off.
So the next bit of news is kind of a weird one, and it's probably going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. But they are, and this is not something that we've talked about much, but rather than a reboot or remake, there is a reimagining of the 1921 Charlie Chaplin classic, The Kid. And it is an animated sci-fi series called The Kid, an Animated Adventure. And the kid is voiced by Jacob Tremblay, who is in Room and Wonder, in an upcoming movie called, I want to say, Good Kids? Bad Kids? I think Good Kids.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking.
Yeah,
I think
it's produced by
I think I saw the trailer
Seth
for
Rogen.
that.
It looks kind of great.
It's kind of like a super bad for this generation,
right? But even younger. But But Jacob Tremblay, I mean, in Room, Oscar nominee, was fantastic. So
powerful film.
I'm kind of always rooting for that kid. The kid. That's the name of the thing. But
The kid. Hey.
So we'll see how that shakes out. That's going to be an animated series. There is going to be a TV series based on the movie Warm Bodies.
I remember reading that. I feel like I remember reading that some time ago that they were developing that. But yeah.
Yeah, Lionsgate is working on it. And I don't know. We'll see. That's a movie that had with Nicholas Hoult as a zombie who they call it a zomcom.
Well, it was kind of like it's one of those movies that when we teach Romeo and Juliet in high school, when we talk about all of like the cool hit movies that are based on Shakespeare, it's like Warm Bodies comes up as a Romeo and Juliet because like he's a zombie and she's alive and they're in love and yes,
and so that one
lovers.
So this series is actually the director from the movie, Jonathan Levine, is heavily involved with the series. He was also, I believe, did he write 50-50, the Seth Rogen, Joseph Gordon-Levitt movie? I think that was...
I thought Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg wrote that, but perhaps he was a co-writer with them.
Some part of that. Anyway, so that's a thing that's happening. We've got a couple more things still.
Busy week.
Yeah, Indiana Jones 5. We have some news about that. That's going to be written by Dan Fogelman. I'm just kind of letting you know what things I've been reading lately. So yeah, it's the This Is Us creator, Dan Fogelman, is going to be the new writer for Indiana Jones 5. I know nothing else. I'm just going to move right along because the more we talk about that one, the weirder things are going to get. And finally,
only if Shia LaBeouf is on board.
Well, maybe we can erase that history. I don't know. You know what? We'll talk about Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull another time.
What is it? Not canon? Okay.
Look, I like swinging from trees with monkeys just as much as the next guy.
Yeah, all it was missing was a Phil Collins soundtrack.
Ooh, maybe that's what it needed. The Tarzan treatment.
Really, what doesn't?
The next bit of news I want to talk about is, and I don't know if this is rumor or if this is in talks or if this is actually a thing, but we had previously mentioned in another episode a Willow reboot or remake. And I guess Ron Howard is now talking about it being a Disney Plus series.
Oh, okay. I think I like that better than a sequel, because I think that's what they were talking about, was doing like a sequel 30 something years later. Which, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's it's a fantasy movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean, I guess, is Warwick Davis? Do we know if he's
Warwick Davis,
the original Willow?
I have to imagine he would be part of it.
He's around. He's working.
He's doing stuff. So that's what I got for stuff that's kind of in the news in the world of reboots, remakes, prequels, and sequels, and reimaginings, as it happens. But now we are going to talk about Police Academy 4. Citizens on Patrol. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba, ba-da-da-da-ba. Not only does
I was about to go into a line from the song and then I just blanked.
Not only does this movie have its own like theme song that plays during the opening credits and is also kind of listened to by the actors in the squad car during the opening credits,
who are also possibly performing it.
Well, definitely Michael Winslow is performing it. I don't know.
Maybe they're not listening to anything. It might just be him making sense. What did I hear recently? He was, I think Gremlins.
Oh,
I think I read that he had actually done some of the sounds on Gremlins.
Yeah, I think so.
So, and Michael Winslow, who those of you who aren't Police Academy fanatics might remember him from his cameo in Spaceballs, where he played the radar operator.
The blips
the blips, the flips, and the.
Anyway.
Yeah, geez, it's been a while.
He makes funny noises, but that's kind of his thing. He's the only actor that has appeared in all of the Police Academy movies and the series. There was the animated series. I had Police Academy action figures growing up, for sure.
Yes.
I have very specific memories playing with those action figures at my friend Chris's house when we were kids, and great fun, just great fun.
And those were from the animated
series, yeah.
From the animated series. Yeah, so I guess to give you a little background and context about our connection to the Police Academy series, I was thinking about this earlier because the first one I saw in the theater was actually 4, and of course we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But I think Police Academy 2 was the first one that I saw, and it was on I remember it was on HBO a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that was the first one that I saw, and it really, and I guess really got into the series. Like, I don't remember exactly like the moment or when it was that I was like, I need to see all of these.
Right.
But it happened.
I will say that Police Academy 4 is, I was a child, like a very, very young child when I first saw it. I'm sure I have no memories before having seen it. Like, that's just kind of always been part of my life. Police Academy 4, I think, rewatching the movies even younger, Police Academy 4 is kind of the most accessible of the earlier ones, because, the first one, it kind of has like I guess like a meatballsy quality to it.
Porky's.
Yeah, Porky's quality to it, where it's just kind of like Animal Housey in a lot of ways.
It was a sexploitation. I mean, it was all about, getting boobs on the screen and, blowjob jokes.
Right,
and
which is referenced in Police Academy 4. So, and then
and 3. It's
referenced in 3 also. I haven't seen 3 in a while. 3 is the one that has Mauser in it, was he also in 2
and 3? 2 and 3. He was in 2, and he was supposed to be in 4.
Oh, really?
I think he was supposed to be in 4.
Daisy, come. Come. Sit. Sorry about that.
It's all right. So I think Mauser was supposed to be in 4. I think I remember reading this, but I forget the actor who played Mauser, Art Metrano. I'm not sure why he didn't do it, but anyway, that's kind of beside the point. I do think Police Academy 4: Citizens on Patrol is kind of like the peak of the series. I feel like it's the one that most, aside from the first one, I think it's the one that most people have seen.
Well, I will say, I mean, that's probably true. It has a lot of the like classic gags in it. There's the Blue Oyster Bar, which we're definitely going to be talking about a little bit more.
This is actually the last one where the Blue Oyster Bar appears.
Yeah, so the Blue Oyster Bar is the gay, I want to say like borderline S&M bar. It's a leather daddy bar.
Yeah.
It's the leather daddy bar.
Leather and mustaches.
Yeah, where Mahoney tricks Captain Harris into going to telling Proctor that it is this great salad bar. And the Blue Oyster Bar is also the place where they go into and they're playing that song El Bimbo. Yeah, it's iconic, and it's just such a wonderful, perfect song for that moment too.
It is in the first. The bar is in. It starts in the first one, and it's just kind of like the ongoing. They send the 2 other cadets who are kind of like Captain Harris's spies in the first one. They get sent there, and Copeland and Blanks.
Right. Yeah,
I always think of Dopeland because that's what he calls it.
Gotcha. So here is the basic synopsis of Police Academy 4. And while we're talking about this movie, I kind of want to talk about it as if it is its own movie and not so much like it's the fourth film in a franchise of 7.
Yes.
Yeah.
7.
So the plot of this movie is the commandant of this police force / academy. It seemed it's a little unclear as to like, are they just an academy, but they also are the police force? It's kind of weird. But the commandant has this idea for a program called Citizens on Patrol, COP, and he wants his best recruits that are on his team, who are Mahoney, Hightower, Tackleberry, Zed, Sweet Chuck, Callahan. Am I missing anybody? Hooks.
Hooks. Let's see. We got Hooks, Hightower, Tackleberry, Jones.
I forgot Jones.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's it. There was no Fackler in this one.
Fackler.
Contract negotiations
was essentially replaced by Sweet Chuck and Zed, who had their first appearance in Police Academy 3.
2.
Oh, they started in 2.
Sweet Chuck owned the lamp shop, and Zed was the head of the gang that kept terrorizing
That's
him
right.
and robbing the shop.
Yeah. I confirmed that this was not an April Fool's Day joke done by Bobcat Goldthwait, who played Zed, but according to Bobcat Goldthwait's Instagram, originally Tim Kazurinsky was going to be playing Zed and Bobcat Goldthwait was going to be playing Sweet Chuck, but because Tim Kazurinsky is vegan, he was uncomfortable with wearing leather jackets, so they swapped the roles. And I mean, watching the movie, I can see it the other way, but it is really well done the way that it is. And I'm sure that also the characters got shaped because of their performances. Especially with Bobcat Goldthwait's signature voice being showcased in this movie so prominently. And Police Academy 4 really is a huge showcase for the character of Zed. I mean, watching it,
he gets a love, he gets a romantic subplot.
And honestly, if there was going to be any one like main character of this movie, I would say Zed is a contender, because you would normally think it'd be Mahoney, but he's kind of in the wings most of the time.
You know, it's
literally and figuratively.
Literally in
well, not so much wings.
Tackleberry's the one in the wings. Yeah. But this film also, so speaking of Mahoney's kind of romantic interest in this is played by Sharon Stone.
That's right. There are a lot of amazing, weird cameos. This is the first film for David Spade. We
have Brian Backer from it was Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Mm-hmm. And Tony Hawk was one of the I guess skateboarders in this. Originally supposed to be David Spade's like stunt double, but I guess was too tall and they switched it, something like that. Whatever. So yeah, it's kind of crazy how many, I guess nowadays you would consider them stars, but then they were a lot of big stars of the early to mid 90s. So popping up in this. Just to get back to kind of the synopsis, the Citizens on Patrol program is a way to let the community feel like the police force cares more, wants to be more involved with them. So it's basically giving them training and giving them the ability to, I guess, be more connected with the police force. And so they kind of say it's not just a neighborhood watch program, it's actually getting them like serious actual training. And this is essentially a way to reimagine the first Police Academy movie, which was essentially they're opening up the recruitment to anybody and everybody. And, you know, for Mahoney, it was kind of like a punishment, the same way that for David Spade's character, and what's his name from Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
Brian
Backer, who plays Arnie. So Arnie and Kyle, that's their punishment for quote unquote terrorizing a shopping mall, which is just that they were skateboarding and Copeland didn't care for it. And
doesn't Captain Harris call a SWAT team on them?
Yes.
For skateboarding?
Yeah. And this is at a time when like skateboarding is like just becoming a thing. And it's funny because they're wearing just like neon shirts and they're just like, the way you dress disgusts me. And it's like, seriously? Like, think about what you would think about people now. It's so different. That's just neon t-shirts. Yeah. So...
And messy hair.
Yeah. So skateboarding is kind of like a centerpiece towards the beginning of the movie, kind of fades away as soon as the Citizens on Patrol program gets into full swing. Also, we have the character of Laura, who's played by Corinne Bohrer, who is Zed's love interest. Dan, you and I, both big Corinne Bohrer fans. If you are not familiar with Corinne Bohrer from this movie, you might remember her from Vice Versa. She is also... I don't know if she's currently if this show is still around, but the Flash show on CW, she's in that. She was on
Veronica Mars.
She's the mother. Spoiler alert in case you haven't seen Veronica Mars yet. But she's
been around long enough.
She's around and she's always been actively working. And this is one of her early roles. And
I think she also did a Totino's commercial. Did she not?
Did she? Okay.
I feel like at one point I think you shared it. You
did I
sent it to me, or you took a picture of it on the TV?
Oh, was
I
just watching TV and I was like, "Is that Corinne Bohrer?"
I have a memory of this.
I do. I have a memory, and maybe it's actually from this. Maybe I did that, and I remember at one point I couldn't remember what her name was, and I was talking to you about it, and I feel like you tapped into a weird that part of your brain that remembers where you saw movies in the 1980s, the part of that brain that connected,
including this one,
that connected the name Corinne Bohrer with like the Police Academy font and like the end credits to like associate, to be like, I remember her name. It's Corinne Bohrer because I can picture it on the screen.
Honestly, John, I probably just remembered it. Like,
I don't know. You told me like it took you a few minutes and you like describe to me how you remembered the way that it looked on the screen in the credits.
I had to kind of go into that dark place where I had to become the three-eyed raven.
Your eyes rolled at the back of your head.
Yes. I became the three-eyed raven. Yeah, I'm like, it's kind of a specialized three-eyed raven. Yes, like, yeah, oh, it was a dark theater.
Yeah, right.
Edison, New Jersey.
So the Citizens on Patrol program is about to begin, and Captain Harris is kind of put in charge of it because Commandant Lassard is going to England for an international police conference, and Captain Harris hates the idea of Citizens on Patrol because he feels like it's going to make cops lose their jobs. You know, if just everybody's enforcing the law. So it's his mission, with the help of Proctor, to completely destroy this program from the inside out. And, the plot of the movie kind of goes in and out, and it just kind of makes way for little sketches, essentially, or like prank sketches. It's just a series of sketches, really, and it's
gags after gags.
Yeah. So you've got Jones using his mouth to make crazy noises. A courtroom scene gets a nice big fart, courtesy of Jones. Yeah.
Can I? All right. So, and it's a police academy movie, so you do have to suspend disbelief, but how is it that they don't realize the sound is coming from his mouth? They don't see him doing it because he makes these big obvious faces when he's making his sounds. And people actually smell something.
What if like Captain Harris actually did fart while Jones made the crazy noise? I don't know. You're right, though.
The crazy noise scared it was like one of those, like, I'm scared. And it just
here's the
slips out.
thing is when you're watching a Police Academy movie, you have to accept it just for what it is. And
there's so many other.
Yeah, just like enjoy
things
the
we could
ride.
point
Like
out.
it's
Yeah.
just complete lunacy. But
So anyway, go on with your summary.
sure.
I'm trying not to
There's-
tangent off.
that's essentially it. The thing that actually makes the Citizens on Patrol program kind of fail is when three of the recruits, Laura, played by Corinne Bohrer, this other guy who I don't think that we ever really catch his name, who wears a hat.
Is he the one who's the lawyer? Yeah, he was the one who's Arnie and Kyle's lawyer.
Oh, he was the lawyer? I didn't even catch that. And I've seen this movie
And I feel like I
500 times.
remember. I feel like I've seen that guy. I'm pretty sure he was on a show with Jerry O'Connell called My Secret Identity.
Oh, I remember that show. That
which
show
was
was
like
great.
what was he, like, Ultraman, or not the other Ultraman,
Right.
But he plays. I think the character's name was Dr. Jeffcoat.
Oh my God.
That was the character's name that he played. I don't remember his name. I feel like his name in this is like Milton Butterworth or something
Butterworth.
like that.
Yeah, Butterworth. I think you're right. So, and then there is
Mr. Butterworth.
And then the third person is Mrs. Feldman, who is the gun crazy, military crazy older lady who becomes fast friends with Tackleberry, who is
She kind of steals this movie.
Mrs. Feldman is fantastic. The line, "Do we get to pack heat?" Like, she just kind of has these amazing, amazing lines, and her delivery's great. And she's played by Billy Bird, who was this vaudeville comedian.
Yeah, very familiar face. Actually, I'm pretty sure she pops up in Police Academy 6 playing a different role.
Is that true?
I think she's like the host of this like a charity ball or something in Police Academy 6.
God! Now I have to rewatch Police Academy 6. Yeah, City Under Siege.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of it kind of throws you off if you're a fan and you see Billy Bird and you're like, is that Mrs. Feldman? Wait,
And I
why is
also
that not Mrs.
believe
Feldman?
that the woman who's reciting poetry when Zed first meets Laura, because Zed goes to this kind of poetry group to kind of gather recruits, and the woman who's reading that poem, I believe she is also in another Police Academy movie.
She's in the first one.
Is she in the first one?
I don't. By the way, I'm not remember this. I'm remembering from reading it on IMDb
Gotcha.
trivia while I watched Police Academy 4 a week ago. So this is not like
The eyes.
She's
The pupils are facing forward. They didn't roll back.
yeah. No, this is just the two-eyed Dan, not the three-eyed Raven. So, so that woman was in the beginning, in the opening sequence of the original Police Academy, where she's one of the people. She's the one who says "surprise" to Tackleberry
Got it.
when he
At the party.
kicks in the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're throwing a surprise party for him.
Tackleberry, played by David Graff, such a great role. And I feel
Yeah.
like the more Police Academy movies he shows up in, the more like fun he's having with it.
He's got such great expressions and delivery. David Graff is fantastic. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like other things. Oh yeah, so those three cadets, they ruin an ongoing police investigation into a
Fencing operation.
fencing operation. Yeah. So
Yeah.
which looks so obvious, and they catch people unloading stuff off of a truck, and it's like this huge, crazy, big investigation, and it's like, hello. Why does there need
When
to
a
be this
couple
big
of
undercover operation? It's right there. If these knuckleheads can find it.
Mrs. Feldman did this. You didn't need to send in your top guy
Yeah,
undercover.
right? So,
This is not Donnie Brasco.
yeah, so they ruin that, and Captain Harris uses that as an excuse to shut it all down. Meanwhile, in England, Commandant Lassard is sitting at a table with other law enforcement officials, teaching them, English phrases, and they say things the way that he says them, like I'm very, very, very excited and things like that. And then they all have goldfish with them, which is very What About Bob?
Well, and very What About Bob? and is also, if you're not familiar, that's kind of Lassard's thing. It's his gimmick.
Quirk,
Yeah.
One of his quirks.
And I know, so we can just leave it at that.
Yeah, so he invites them all to come back to the United States to see how their Citizens on Patrol program is going. They're all very excited about it. Commissioner Hearst shows up. I don't even know why I mentioned him. He really plays no role in this movie other than the fact that he's just in a couple of scenes.
Chief, or I believe it's Chief Hearst. Sorry.
Yeah.
But
I think he's Commissioner Hearst in like City Under Siege. So
he might, he might be. Yeah.
I'm so sorry, everybody.
Well, why would he not be promoted?
Yeah.
You know? But he's such a he's kind of always got the same attitude, and he's like, I don't know. He's an interesting character.
Yeah.
I don't know how to
It's hard to say like whose side he's really on most of the time.
He's on whoever's side he needs to be on to look
pretty
good,
much.
I think.
And in this case, he's coming on Lassard's side.
Yeah, like I think he secretly is like on Harris's side for most of it. He doesn't like the idea. He's from the very beginning.
Right.
He doesn't like the idea of not unfit people.
Yeah, but he just kind of shrugs
work.
his shoulders and says, "Well, whatever."
The mayor wants it. The governor wants it.
So they go back to the United States, and as Lassard is bringing them through the police station, there has been a jailbreak because Proctor is a big idiot, and during a game of Simon Says, ends up giving the keys to the jail to the prisoners. And in one of two connections to brain donors, you see him kind of clanging a mug against the bars singing, "Nobody knows the trouble I've seen." The other being that Pat Proft, the writer of Brain Donors, is the one who was a writer on the first Police Academy movie.
Yeah.
So gets character credit on the subsequent movies. So it's all tying back.
Yeah. Connective threads.
Yeah. So there's a jailbreak, and the collection of people that are in the holding cells at this police station, there's your classic criminals. You have the ninjas. It's just like complete madness. So they all get out. Why there's a band of ninjas there, and they're the worst ninjas I've ever seen in my life.
There's a gang of ninjas so that there can be a ninja fight.
Which there doesn't need to be a ninja fight.
There does.
Was it Kanaka? Is that his name? Tanaka. He's the one who in Police Academy 3 has the fling with Callahan, and then he.
Oh yes.
Oh yes. Or is that Police Academy?
He beds Callahan,
and then he comes back in this one, and then he and Callahan get back together. One thing I will say about this movie is that you might think about somebody like Callahan as being like the impetus for a lot of male gaze, a lot of people saying and doing inappropriate things. But I will say there is one moment that kind of turns it around, and it makes her seem like the horny one, where they're talking about how like she wants there to be co-ed locker rooms. So,
but that's been a thing of hers throughout from the beginning.
And I want to like credit them for making it not just be like, oh, she's the busty cop, so everyone's going to be fawning over her. She's also, all about it.
And I want to add, first of all, the actor Brian Tachi, who plays Nogata.
Got it.
So, yeah, we were pretty far off. Nogata. All right.
Damn.
I'm going to roll on from that. So I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, so the Police Academy 20th anniversary DVD features commentary, and the actress who plays Callahan,
Leslie
Easterbrook, it is on the commentary, and if I remember correctly, she does like bring that up and comment on how. I know she definitely points out some things that like, oh, Police Academy was kind of the first to do this. Yeah. And I if I remember correctly, she did point out that like flipping the script and having, the busty the instructor be the aggressor was something different. Like the aggressor and not so much the target.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in this case, there's the scene where she's in the pool and trying to instruct people about how to save lives, and she goes in and she's like, all right, who's going to save me? And then everybody dives, all the guys dive into the pool. In that case, she is in one way the victim, but she's using it as a teaching tool.
Well, and she gets away from them.
Oh, yes, because she's the best.
Yeah. She swims away.
So everything culminates in this gigantic final chase sequence with the actual cops and the citizens, where they kind of split off into groups. Tackleberry and Mrs. Feldman, of course, stop a bank robbery, which Tackleberry actually fails to do, but then Mrs. Feldman busts through the window on a motorcycle and says, "Freeze, dirtbags," and we're good to go. And, oh wait, no. Did she say freeze dirtbags then, or did she say it when they're busting?
No, Hooks is the one who says is don't move, dirtbag. Maybe she says something else.
I think she says freeze dirtbags at some point. I'm not gonna. We don't need to get into this.
I'm just surprised they would have anyone other than I feel like that's Hooks' thing.
That's true. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely off, but I remember her just saying freeze dirtbags. Not important.
Maybe that's what's part of making a part 4 is spreading the wealth a little bit and starting to expand.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
Could be.
Could be.
People can say, more than one person could say dirtbags. It's possible. So she does that. Then we, of course, have the aforementioned ninja fight on a boat. The ninjas all kind of end up on this boat.
Like a pirate ship.
Yeah, so Joan...
It's a pirate ship dock there, but there's no pirates in the prison.
It's really, really bizarre. But...
yeah, I mean, I'm not saying the pirates should be in the prison. Maybe they're just out on the town.
And it was at this point that Laura, my wife, came in to watch it. She had never seen this movie before. She saw this fight sequence and could not stop laughing, especially at the moment when... I'm blanking on his name again. Nogata. When Nogata takes off one of the ninja's shoes and like recoils at the scent of his foot, and then Jones catches a punch from a ninja, mimes sprinkling salt on it, and then takes a bunch of like bites out of the arm. And Laura was like, "What is this movie?" And I just had to laugh because it was just so much fun, and what a great moment to walk in on. So, of course, they stop all of the ninjas. I guess they just kind of get them all in the water. I guess that's their way of apprehending them. And then
yes,
the final scene, and I want to say, and I looked this up, the only hot air balloon chase sequence in cinematic history. But two of the criminals get away in a hot air balloon at like an air show, and then we have Captain Harrison Proctor get into a hot air balloon. Of course, Proctor shoots a hole in the balloon, and then they crash into a river, and they are saved by Arnie, Kyle, and House, who we didn't mention.
House.
Little Tommy Conklin.
House has his own theme song.
That's what I was going to say before. Not only does this movie have its own theme song, there's the song Rock the House that plays when...
Rock, 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 rock the house.
That's the one.
So I feel like this is the appropriate time to point out, this movie features more of a soundtrack.
Yes.
I feel like they were trying to sell the soundtrack on this one because there's the Razzie-nominated Brian Wilson original "Let's Go to Heaven in My Car."
That's such a weird song.
By Dr. Landy.
Which is playing in the mall at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. it has the song that's playing while Arnie and Kyle and their friends are doing, and Tony Hawk are doing like all the skateboard
It
tricks.
doesn't fit at all.
Shoot for the top.
Right.
It was a very interesting song. And we have the aforementioned Citizens on Patrol. Are there any other?
Well, yeah, Rock the House.
songs?
I don't think there were
Rock
any
the
other
House,
like
yeah.
major ones. But yeah, so House, Kyle and Arnie are kind of like the one crew. Oh yeah, so House was I want to say that Hightower was maybe his like babysitter or family friend
Neighbor.
or something like that when House was a little kid, little Tommy Conklin.
I think they lived in the same. I think it was like a neighborhood thing. Like they lived in the same neighborhood.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, he's part of that crew. They save Captain Harrison Proctor. They also were involved in a prank performed by Mahoney, Jones, Hightower, and Tackleberry, which is truly bizarre. I don't even want to go into it because it is just absolutely bananas.
But what a great scene.
It's a great scene. It's just essentially they feel like they're ready to get out on the streets, and Jones overhears them talking about becoming vigilantes, and thinks prank time. So kind of puts them into a situation that they are definitely not
When
ready
don't
for.
they think prank time?
There's some classic pranks in this one, replacing Captain Harris's deodorant with the mace.
The megaphone, the
super glue on the megaphone.
The glue on the megaphone.
Mm-hmm. The helium tank instead of the oxygen tank.
The porta potty
scene.
lifted onto the football field.
Yes, at one point Proctor gets into a porta potty. The crew sees it happen, and then they somehow arrange for a crane operator to lift the porta potty onto the middle of a football field, and then they open up the top of it just in time for the national anthem. How they cleaned up that mess, I would love to know. I actually did look up to see. So Proctor, while he's in the porta potty, is reading an Archie.
It's an
Archie comic. It's an Archie double digest. I looked up that comic to see if there was any Easter eggy connections to like anything going on, but unfortunately I couldn't get my hands on an actual copy or see one online. I just saw the cover of it, and it doesn't seem like there's any connection. It's just kind of what he's got.
I think it's like, this is heavy reading for Proctor.
Yeah, totally. Like he's probably,
this is what he
wouldn't be doing a crossword. He'd be doing a word search, that type of situation.
And to point out something funny about Proctor, so Proctor is not in the original Police Academy. He comes in part 2 as Mauser's kind of sidekick, but then just kind of seamlessly transfers to Harris in part 4. And he reminds me of Gary on Veep, Tony Hale on Veep. He just, that, and the ones, I know it's like even in the trailer, but don't you ever touch my balls without asking.
Yeah, which is kind of just a nothing dumb joke, just a moment to kind of get a laugh. Proctor, played by Lance Kinsey,
although
so good, just like such a pure goofball.
I gotta say though, about that gag, something that I noticed about it watching it recently that I never really noticed before is, if you think about, because all the guys on the other side of the window stop and look at them after, because so Proctor, you know, the balls that you put on your desk and like, oh, you bounce one and the other,
I think.
Yeah, are they Newton's balls? I don't know. He had 4. So Proctor starts doing it, and Captain Harris comes over and takes it away and says, don't you ever touch my balls without asking first. And the physical position they are in, if you were viewing it, I never noticed this before, but if you were looking at it from the perspective of the men on the other side of the window who aren't in Harris's office, it totally looks like Proctor's grabbing his balls.
He's kind of holding them off to the side and down for some, like, just
like Harris is kind of bent over and Proctor's hand is kind of down. So if you imagine it from the, from the other perspective, it
Yeah, so I that was just something I never really. I just kind of thought, oh, everyone stops and looks because that's an odd thing
Right.
to hear someone say without context.
I don't know. It's a fun scene. It starts off with Harris polishing his little staff, singing "Mama's Little Baby Love," shortening, and I'll never hear that song without thinking about this movie. Not that I hear that song a lot, but it's true. I think about this movie.
They don't play it as much anymore.
Just going back to the final scene, we have Zed, Sweet Chuck, and Tackleberry all up in a prop plane. We have Steve Guttenberg. We have Mahoney and Sharon Stone's character, who's a reporter who's covering the whole Citizen Patrol thing. They're up in a prop plane. It's just complete madness. Yeah,
Utter
it's utter chaos. They catch them because Tackleberry jumps out of a plane and onto the hot air balloon and then gets into the basket and arrests them.
Yeah.
And then all is well. And then Mahoney and Sharon Stone fly off in a Police Academy hot air balloon that's somehow there.
They flee the series.
They absolutely do.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, Mahoney ain't coming back.
I want to make something clear. Yes, this movie has kind of an uneven plot situation. It's really just a series of goofs and pranks. It's still fun to watch, and as far as I'm concerned, because of that, it's a good movie, and there will always be a place for it in my heart.
Agreed.
What's
Agreed,
that?
John.
Oh yeah,
I agree.
It's just
with you.
It's just fun. I don't care what the critics say.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like with a Police Academy movie, you're not. Yeah, it's like, why do the critics even bother? So I guess what I'm interested in talking about, and I know we said we kind of wanted to talk about this as its own thing, but I guess I like I'm interested in, like, what are they doing to make a part 4 that both is aligned with the rest of the series but also does something new. And I feel like the music and the addition of the younger characters was kind of like what they were doing. And as you said earlier, it's almost as if they're trying to replicate the first film with the idea of anybody can become a part of it, which is interesting because it's something that I think of the third film, Back in Training, that is kind of a not reboot, but just kind of like revisiting of the concept of the original.
Well, something to remember is that this movie is called Police Academy. It's not called Police Force.
Right.
Like, it's the idea behind it is training people to be police.
So you're adding in the twist here of that they're average citizens who don't necessarily want to become full-time professional police officers, but who are interested in law enforcement. And in the case of Mrs. Feldman, guns.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think I feel like kind of trying to like sell the soundtrack a little bit more and adding the skateboarding was kind of it makes this one stand out in the series. And as far as the chase at the end goes, that kind of became a trope of the series, but it kind of went from 3 because they do the motorboat race, 4, and then 5 when they do the in the Keys, the Florida, the swamp boats, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Hydro.
Wind boats, fan boats.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, 6 does not have the same like chase at the end. I feel like 6 is more of like
yes, it kind of does. 6 has it has different characters kind of facing off with their counterparts from the Wilson Heights gang.
Right.
So we have Jones doing karate in a weird back lot with one of the guys. We have Hightower doing like a feat of strength off with like the big guy. and I think Tackleberry is like the
sharpshooter,
the marksman,
yeah.
the sharpshooter. So, we could talk about that another time, but we probably won't.
So I guess in making the part 4, and especially this one, because it is kind of the peak of the series. I don't think nearly as many people have seen Assignment Miami Beach or City Under Siege. Definitely not Mission to Moscow.
They didn't have Mahoney in them, so I think that for a lot of people, the series ended when Mahoney ended.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like I don't know if maybe like Steve Guttenberg's value was underestimated, or if I feel like he just needed to separate from the series. Also, like Three Men and a Baby came out in 1987, and that was the #1 movie of the year.
Yeah.
So, I get it.
Yeah, and also, I mean, this was the last movie for Bobcat Goldthwait. I don't think that there were too many Sweet Chuck enthusiasts out there, but definitely Zed fans. I know when I was a kid, Zed was all I cared about.
Well, of course. I mean, the poem that he recites is just
the poem he recites, Gene made a machine. Jojo
made it go.
Art blew a fart.
Blew
the whole damn thing apart.
The whole damn thing apart.
It's so good. And then he also has his song that he sings to Laura with his little harmonica thing at the end. It's just so good.
Yeah. So I guess adding in, having the additional romantic subplots, I feel like Mahoney always has one. And then like in part 2, it was Tackleberry who had the...
Yeah.
In part 3, was there
I don't remember part 3 as well.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember if there was some like romantic subplot.
In Assignment Miami Beach, you have Eric Lassard and
Janet Jones Gretzky.
Sure.
Well, that's the actress who plays her. Yeah, I just remembered that. I didn't look it up. Jeez. And she was just Janet Jones at the time.
Oh my God.
Look, I saw Police Academy 5 twice in one weekend. All right. When it was in the theater.
Oh my God, Dan. That's amazing.
Oh, so do you want to know about when I saw 4? And where?
Of course I do.
Come on. I mean, it's a regular feature on the show.
I thought we'd get to that later, but you want to talk about it now? Let's do it now.
We could talk about it later.
We're on the subject. You talk about it now.
So, it was must have been April 87, because that's when it was released, beginning of April 87. I remember Mom took me to see it. I mean, I was like not even 10 yet. So, it was the first one that I saw in the theater. I had seen the others, 2 and 3 on HBO. I don't think I had seen 1 at that point yet. But Mom took me. It was the Westfield Rialto. Hey, if you're a regular listener, you've heard the tales already. So, I remember the theater not being very full. And for some reason, and I don't know if this is just my mind putting this in there or if these people were actually there, I remember there being 2 like kind of older, like biker type dudes, like not bicycle, motorcycle.
Maybe they were Blue Oyster Bar fans.
No, definitely not the right kind of mustaches.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no. And I remember they were loving it. And yeah, I don't remember much more than that, but I remember Mom taking me, and I feel like it was an evening showing. So,
oh, well, I hope those guys are doing well.
Yeah. The Westfield, yeah, the Sons of Anarchy Westfield branch, Westfield, New Jersey.
Yeah, right.
Yes. The Gap Patrol.
So if you were to do anything with Citizens on Patrol now, what would you do?
Yeah. So, couple of options. Now, there's been talk of a police academy reboot for quite some time, and for some reason or another, it never really comes through. So, if the new, which I believe the new film is supposed to kind of be part of the original series, because last I heard Steve Guttenberg was going to come back.
Right.
And I would do it as maybe it kind of like how Star Trek Into Darkness was kind of a remake of Star Trek 2, not really.
Right.
I could kind of see it being as like maybe Lassard had it in his will that and maybe it was in his will, and maybe like they just found the will, because Lassard, was pretty old when they made the movies, George Gaines, and he passed away not too long ago.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So, actually, sadly, several of the original cast members have passed away. Bubba Smith, who played Hightower.
Bubba Smith.
David Graff,
David
Graff passed away a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a heart problems, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you're interested in seeing David Graff in a film other than a police academy film, I remember him being very good playing the judge in Alexander Payne's first feature, Citizen Ruth, starring Laura Dern.
Oh, he was in Citizen Ruth?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I doubt we're going to talk about Citizen Ruth at any other point on this show.
Probably not.
But yeah,
Great movie.
David Graff plays kind of like the judge who keeps, is having Laura Dern pop up in his courtroom, and he kind of plays you again, what are we going to do? So, but yeah, I feel like maybe what I would do is not just like regenerate it as a new idea, but say, and maybe it's a response if they're trying to be like a little like topical or satirical with it, like pointing out just like the reputation that police have in this country, and starting to kind of restore. And not that police have a bad reputation, but we've had some incidents that have not made law enforcement look that great to the majority of the citizenry. I think if you were to kind of maybe take that citizens on patrol concept and be like, look, there's too much, friction, and Lassard put it in his will that the COP program should be resurrected. And you call it Police Academy Resurrection. I don't know. And so I would do it that way, or I would the other idea would be as a spin-off series that would really just kind of be based around like citizens on patrol, like kind of like what happens after they graduate the program, and like the actual like the mishaps of the citizens on patrol, like people who have like regular lives and do regular jobs, but also are doing police work. I feel like you could kind of do some adaptation where you're following a group of people all doing, all in different situations, and you could, depending on the professions of the different people, you could put them into some pretty interesting scenarios. So yeah.
I mean, I completely agree with you in what you were saying earlier about like right now, it's a very contentious time between citizens and the police. They're for a myriad of reasons, and it's kind of the right time to have a mention of this is the police and this is what they're trying to do to reconnect with the public. Does it need to be as gritty as our current political climate would suggest that it be? Probably not. But I think that it is an interesting time to talk about something like this. So what I was thinking, because I definitely was thinking about that, but I don't know if this particular movie necessarily needs to be revitalized in form of a movie. I mean, the series I think is a cool idea. But one thing we didn't talk about is how Police Academy did have an additional life in comic book form. Comics released by Marvel.
Yes.
So all I'm saying is get Gutenberg, get Winslow, get Easterbrook, get G.W. Bailey.
Yeah.
Get them in the universe. Get them in there. Maybe they're working with Spider-Man on something.
Was this Phase 4?
You know? Sure.
Yeah.
You know? Get them involved with those knuckleheads we all love to watch do crazy stuff on screen.
That may get me back into the Avengers.
So, no, I mean, that's kind of my goof answer. But it is true that Marvel did release the comics.
But John, no, you tapped into a really great idea, though. What if the Avengers started a Citizens on Patrol program, and it was kind of like, and maybe it's like the B level or maybe like C+ level Avengers, the like, we call them when, you know, everyone else is off, when like, you know, Hawkeye's on vacation and whatever. We're going to bring in these guys.
So here's, and that would be so much fun. So here's my real response is actually a sequel just to Citizens on Patrol. And you have the characters that vanished after this movie. Maybe they went off and joined another police force. So you have Mahoney. Maybe it's Commandant Mahoney at this point. And you know what? We don't even have to have Zed in it. This could just be directed by Bobcat Goldthwait because he is a fantastic director now.
Yeah.
World's Greatest Dad. Crazy.
God Bless America.
God Bless America.
Wow.
Is nuts.
Yeah.
He did Willow Creek, which is a fantastic it's a horror movie.
Oh, I didn't see
about
that.
Bigfoot.
Oh.
It's really scary.
Oh.
He did the documentary Call Me Lucky about Barry Crimmins.
Right.
He's a fantastic director. Would he want to be involved with Police Academy again? Probably not. But
yeah, maybe if he's in charge.
Yeah, but also it's like, you know, Captain Kyle, David Spade's character.
Yeah, sure.
You know, it could be a Netflix
bring back
movie.
Sharon Stone.
Sure.
You know what? I wonder, you know, now that Adam Sandler has that whole Netflix deal, like, I wonder if that's like kind of a way you think they would do it. I mean,
maybe.
I don't know that's how I want it. Like, I feel like a new Police Academy movie would give a lot of opportunity.
Mm-hmm. But I could also see it being a Happy Madison production.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, sure.
It's kind of got that juvenile sense of humor to it.
Yeah. No, it would work, but I don't know. Yeah. But as Citizens on Patrol goes, I mean, there's also the musical option.
Well, we certainly have the music for
it. A big Broadway stage version of Let's Go to Heaven in My Car. Yes.
Oh, no.
Imagine the skateboarding sequence in a Broadway. It'd be like Starlight Express, but awesome. Starlight Express is a musical where people roller skate the whole time. I've never seen it. Oh, and they're pretending to be trains.
Isn't it like a roller skate train?
They are trains. They are trains. Yeah, I have never seen it.
Andrew Lloyd Webber classic.
Yeah. Anyway.
Say that, I guess that's what we got ideas wise for Citizens on Patrol.
We would love to hear your thoughts, whatever your ideas are, as crazy as they may be. Please send them to us at ruinedchildhoodspod@gmail.com.
Yeah. And in the spirit of our May theme, May the 4th be with you, where we celebrate the 4th films and movie franchises. Dan, do you want to tell us what we're going to be talking about next time?
Next movie we're going to be talking about, John and I watched the trailer for this on his laptop in his apartment in Philadelphia over and over and over and over again when it first came out.
It's true.
And it is a film I'm very fond of. Live Free or Die Hard.
That's right. Bruce Willis, Justin Long, Timothy Oliphant, Kevin Smith. It's such a crazy movie. I feel like it's often overlooked.
Yes.
Check it out. It's so much fun. Just watch the trailer for it.
Directed by Len Wiseman of Underworld fame.
Okay. I didn't even know that. So yeah, we're going to talk about that next time. But yeah, if you have any thoughts about Live Free or Die Hard, Police Academy 4, Citizen Patrol, or any of the other movies that we've talked about before, ruinchildhoodspod@gmail.com. Any last thoughts, Dan?
Yeah, and please, so we're on Instagram at ruinchildhoodspod, so check us out there with updates and just random GIFs and images from the movies we talk about.
And also just generally subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. And if you use an app that gives you the option, rate and review. I think that'd be really cool. We've got some reviews on Apple Podcasts or iTunes. And it's always fun to see those, just to know what people are thinking about this.
Please.
Yeah. Reach
anyway,
out.
before we get too desperate, let's sign off. And John, I'm looking forward to chatting with you next week about Live Free or Die Hard.
Me too. Good journey.
Next time. Good journey.